Welcome to Chai with Manjula. There are so many organizations doing incredible work to eradicate child illiteracy in India. We have already featured some of them, and today we'll introduce you to another remarkable organization. It was founded by a group of students at UC Berkeley in 1991 and has a wide range of volunteers around the world. The organization is Asha for Education. Joining me today are two leaders of Asha for Education. We have Sabita Balachandran, the nationwide president of Asha here in the US, and Anand Raghavan, who was the nationwide president before Sabita. Anand and Sabita, so good to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I believe both of you live here in the Bay Area. What brought you to the Bay Area and how long have you been here?
I came in '96. My husband came here to study.
I see.
So we just stayed on after that.
Okay.
And I've been here for about, 13 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you, Anand?
To the US in '97 to grad school, and then after school, I've been in the Bay Area since 2000 for work.
Okay. And where do you work?
I work at NVIDIA,
Okay.
a graphics company.
All right. And how long have you been involved with Asha?
Asha, about 10 years now. Initially as just a part-time volunteer, but now it's full-time.
Uh-huh.
I have been with Asha since '99.
I see.
It's been about 10 years now.
Okay. I found it so inspiring that Asha was founded by 3 students at UC Berkeley, which is not surprising. Berkeley has a strong history of social activism and political activism and making a difference around the world. So who were these 3 students and what was their vision at the time?
So it was started by BJP Srivatsavoy, Sandeep Pandey, and Deepak Gupta in Berkeley.
I see.
Srivatsavoy unfortunately passed away in May 2000, but at the time he was a postdoctoral researcher in chemistry, and Sandeep and Deepak were both PhD students.
Okay.
And it was Shri's idea actually to form a group that does something back for people in India.
I see.
And his idea was more catering to research needs of researchers in India. And based on the dynamics of the group, eventually it ended up being a group focused on education.
I see.
And they came up with the name Asha, and it was their vision to have Asha as a completely volunteer-driven and non-hierarchical and flat organization, and we continue with that vision even today.
Great. And I believe you have many chapters now, so many volunteers. So tell us about that and the structure of the organization.
So we have about 60 plus chapters across the world.
I see.
In India, Europe, Canada and the US.
I see.
And we have about 1,500 volunteers. And the volunteers come and go, so it's hard to pin down an exact number at any given time.
Okay.
And our model, the way we operate is it's completely decentralized. It's a flat organization. It's non-hierarchical, and each chapter makes its own decision with regards to how they want to raise funds and how they want to disperse the funds they've raised.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how our model is, and it's completely volunteer-driven, so there's no paid staff.
Very good. Very good. What kind of work is Asha doing in India?
So our mission is to catalyze socio-economic change in India through education of underprivileged children.
Okay.
I like to say it shortly as empowerment through education.
I see.
So our projects range from, say for example, balwadis for small children, where typically even parents who go to work in the fields leave their children for the day while they go to work, or slightly older kids where we give them some basic reading, writing skills, to formal schools where in hard-to-reach places, in tribal areas where government schools don't exist. We have organizations that run formal schools, which we support.
Okay, so you are supporting those schools. It's not that they are Asha's schools.
So we have an Asha trust in India, which runs its own sets of schools,
it does.
which has paid staff, which has people who work on a lot of issues outside of education as well. So that is only a small fraction of what Asha does in India. The predominant chunk of the work that is done in India is through our project partners. We have over 350 or 400 project partners over the years.
Like
If you look at Karnataka, one of our long-standing partners has been Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, which was started by 2 doctors in the mid-80s to service the tribals in the Mysore area. And we have been working with them since '94, and they have grown and we have grown over the years, and the gamut of work has expanded a lot over the years. So tribal schools are one focus area.
Okay.
If you look at the other end of the spectrum, we have vocational training facilities for kids to get them expertise in some crafts that gets them a job.
What kind of crafts and
So
expertise?
there are projects like Vigyan Ashram in Pune, where which has actually served as a model for a lot of vocational projects, where they look at what are the needs of a particular village in terms of having a carpenter, having a blacksmith, having a mechanic shop, and they train these kids in those crafts so that instead of migrating to the city and looking for work, they are able to stay back in their villages and perform the much needed tasks in the villages. So they are left with the choice. If they want to go to the cities in terms of better wages, better jobs, they have that opportunity.
Okay.
If they want to stay back in their villages and contribute to the village economy, they have that opportunity. So there are projects like that which we support. And in terms of policy work, Asha, in the recent past, the Indian government has passed a lot of interesting policies, like the Right to Information, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So Asha is actively involved in supporting organizations that raise awareness about these policies, so that people can get the government schools in their localities to function better through RTI applications. So that the Rural Employment Guarantee Act benefits come to villages, so that in the non-farming season the parents don't have to migrate to cities, because of which the children lose out on their education. So we have quite a lot of policy-related projects that we support as well to reach out to a much larger set of students and population than we can through the funds we raise through individual organizations.
I see. And is your work focused in a certain area in India, or are you all over the country?
So we are all over India, and we work with any project partner who comes up with a proposal that we think is worth funding. So we are open to working anywhere.
Okay.
So our differentiator has been credibility, in the sense that we should be able to vouch for the organization that we are supporting. So wherever we have local presence, we are able to visit the organizations often enough, we have presence in those states. So in about 24, 25 states in India, we have projects that we support, but especially Northeast, Jammu Kashmir, we have a few projects, but our penetration has not been that high, because our local presence is not that high for us to vouch for the organizations we work with.
Yeah, so we have Asha Trust, which is our arm in India, has a lot of chapters, again not too many, but a few chapters. So they do site visits, so we rely on them to give us feedback. So credibility, like he said, is very important to us before we decide to fund a project.
So what kind of an impact would you say Asha has made in the lives of children there, in eradicating illiteracy in India, or raising social awareness?
In terms of money, I think since 1991 we've raised about $21 million, and as of end of 2008 we have dispersed about 16 million.
Amazing.
In terms of impact, Asha for Education, because of the way we are structured, the model, the zero overhead policy, we tend to focus on project partners who really cannot reach out to the big NGOs and ask for funds. So we have projects like, for example, Varun. You have to, just to travel to Varun, you have to take a bus, train, a boat. So we tend to focus on project partners that are small, that really, really need our help, not in very large-scale projects. Just so our impact is immediate and we can easily measure it too.
So the typical project we support is around $8,000 to $10,000. So at one extreme we have projects that are under $1,000 a year, and at the other extreme we have projects that are over $100,000 a year. So if you look at the local chapter, the Silicon Valley chapter, we have projects, so we are the second largest chapter in Asha, and we disburse about $600,000 to $700,000 a year.
Which is the biggest one?
Seattle. Microsoft.
Okay.
So we have projects which go, so Varun is one of the projects we support in a really remote area, which much needed schooling for the local kids. At the other extreme, our work with Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement in Mysore. We have an initiative with them called Shikshana Vahini, which is basically to empower the local populations, the parent-teacher associations, the school development management committees, and the teachers to make decisions about the government schools in those areas. So we have been working with them for the past 6 or 7 years in 2 districts to improve the quality of government schools in those districts. So through this program alone, we reach out to over 400,000 children in Karnataka. That's the scale of a project like that.
I see. You have raised a lot of money. How do you go about raising funds?
We have various events that we organize. Each chapter may organize its own event. One could be a music concert, a cricket match, a Holi Asha Stanford is our biggest, Asha Holi, the Bay Area's biggest Holi
Yeah, I keep
fundraiser.
hearing about Asha events in the Bay Area.
Oh, you should visit it next year because it's a party.
I
at
did
Asha Holi.
attend one of the concerts
You did?
recently, and it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
We have that, and then we have general donations. People just go at year-end giving. They go on our website and donate money to Asha for Education. But our biggest fundraiser across all chapters is our Team Asha, which is our marathon training program. We train a lot of runners, beginners to seasoned runners, to run a few marathons each year, and about 21 chapters in the US and 1 chapter in India, Asha Bangalore. We train runners to run marathons, and that's our primary
You train.
fundraiser. Yeah. And a lot of our money also comes through corporate matching. So if you're an employee of a big organization, you would go and donate on the company website, and the company matches.
Okay.
So for example, Microsoft is one of our primary sources of donations
Very good.
for Asha Seattle.
We also have what is called the Registry of Hope, where if you want to celebrate your birthday, your wedding anniversary, your wedding, and instead of getting gifts, you want to make a donation to Asha, we help you set up a page for that and direct donations to us. So we get a lot of donations like that from even small children, like 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, who want to celebrate their birthday and send money to a school in India.
And then we have Work an Hour. Work an Hour typically starts at June each year and coincides with our August 15th. Work an Hour is every employee donates 1 hour of his or her pay to Asha for Education. So it's a campaign that runs for over 4-5 months. And again, through company matching, we raise about 200,000
That's
each
very
year.
good. Very good ideas.
Yeah.
How many chapters do you have in the Bay Area?
We have 4. So we have Asha Silicon Valley, Asha Berkeley, where it all started. We have Asha Stanford, and we have Asha San Francisco, which is our newest chapter.
Okay, okay. And in case our viewers are interested in joining in or helping you, what kind of help do you need?
Donations always help because we have a commitment to our project partners that we're going to fund them until they're reached a stage where they can manage on their own, or the children have passed out and no longer require our support. Otherwise, in terms of time, you can help us with publicity, help us in maintaining our web pages, attending our concerts.
Okay.
Please join our Team Asha marathon training programs and help us raise funds for Asha. If you're working in a big corporation, do donate and give the matching fundings to Asha for Education. So there are various options.
Yeah,
And
there's
on the
some-
project side, so one of the differentiators, there are so many good Indian non-profits in the US.
Right.
So when people ask us, what is the differentiating factor
Yeah,
that you bring to the table?
definitely,
We would
tell
like to
us.
say that we are not just a fundraising organization. We are very actively involved with the projects that we support. A lot of the volunteers actually visit the projects and write up reports about what they have seen, so that they learn firsthand from the experience of the partners. So we encourage even our donors to actually go visit our projects, and quite a lot of them do, and tell us how happy they are that they're working with us. So all this information is on our website. So any project, if you go visit the website of that project, you'll get to know how much money was sent, all the recent reports. So we encourage anybody who wants to participate on the project side of things to come attend our meetings. They can review the project proposals. We actually sit and discuss if we are looking at a tribal school, why is the tribal school in this particular area different from a tribal school in a different part of the country? We talk to them and try to understand what their funding needs are. If it's a school construction, for example, we try to understand why is the need for construction in this city different from some other city. So we also try to leverage experience that we have had in some of the other projects with a particular new project, which may not have the contacts in India. And in that sense, we network these organizations together in India. We have conferences where project partners can meet and learn from each other. So we have a Learning Networks conference every year, which is focused on organizations working towards alternative curricula, better methods of teaching. We have a Sanctuary conference, which is basically geared towards projects working with children rescued from the sex trade or children of women in the sex trade, and how they can share their experiences and learn from each other's experiences. Quite often that also ends up in policy changes that they would need to see in the law. So we had Kiran Bedi at one of these conferences, and they spoke to her about what these organizations would need in terms of improving the situation of these children. So like that, we try to network them together using Asha Trust in India as a factor as well to bring their experience to the table. So we would like to say that we just not a fundraising organization, and at whatever capacity or whatever interest level you would like to join us, you can. We have a very good internships program. If people want to spend 6 to 8 weeks or more with organizations in India, we provide them the opportunity, depending on which part of India, what kind of project work they want to do. A lot of our partners are interested in hosting interns, and we have a lot of people come back and give us great feedback on how good their experience was. And it has been learning for us as well, because these are third-party objective viewers of our work, and we've got very useful feedback from them also.
Our volunteers actually span from high school student to senior citizens,
Okay.
and so everyone is welcome. And our website is ashanet.org.
ashanet.org. Okay, tell me about the conference that you mentioned. Does it take place here in the U.S. also?
So when you talk of Asha, I would like to say Asha is for empowerment through education, not just of the children who we support, but also the volunteers.
Yes.
So for example, in the US, we have conferences every 2 years, which are national conferences, which are completely funded out of our own pocket. We don't use donor money for that, where we meet in some part of the country, exchange notes about our learning from our projects, best practices for fundraising, try to have regional conferences where locally chapters try to meet and learn from each other. So even in the US, it's a continuous process of learning. For example, another important policy initiative in India that's happening is the Right to Education Bill. Right to education has been made a fundamental right, but the Parliament has yet to pass a bill. So we have been trying to petition the government to actually introduce it in the Parliament and discuss it. And we have been working with a lot of educationists in India. Locally in 2007, we actually protested outside the Indian consulate, and we gave them a petition. We met with the Consul General, and we told them we would like to see this implemented. And so we learn about these policy initiatives as well. A new curriculum framework was passed in India in 2005 called the National Curriculum Framework, which is a radically new way of teaching children. And we've been trying to learn from that and see how that differs from a lot of the projects that we work with, and how can these projects leverage the curriculum in the NCF. So there have been Asha chapters that have been learning about these issues. So we do learn about these things locally in the US as well. In India, we have conferences we have Asha India conferences which are organized every 6 months. Savita has been to one of them, so she can.
Yeah. So these conferences, typically in India, the decision making takes places in these conferences because of just the phone, internet infrastructure in remote areas. So all the volunteers come to a place and we meet, and it's like a village community. The village actually takes care of us. So we, for example, in 2007, I was in Sherpur in Punjab.
I see.
So saw the schools, and we had we stayed with I stayed actually with the panchayat head.
Okay.
Yeah, and he made tea for us also the day we were leaving. So it's very interesting. So we have every 6 months we have conferences in India, and we try to go from represent Asha for Education, the US wing there, so that we can connect and discuss issues of common interest.
Okay, great. And I know you brought us a video clip. Why don't we view that first, and we'll continue from there.
Sure.
जब हंसे तो दुनिया लगे हंसी मीठी सी बातें हम करते क्यों होती है पूरी हर दिल की तमन्ना जब मन में हो सच्ची बात छुपी है खुदा तूने कैसे सजाया इतने सारे सितारे होते ही सुबह को जाते हैं सारे बनकर आते हैं शबनम फूलों के हम जब हंसे तो दुनिया लगे हंसी मीठी सी बातें हम करते हैं क्यों से है अनजान, रहती है चेहरे पे उनके हमेशा मीठी सी वो मुस्कान, उनको देखो तो लगता है नूर इतना झलकता है, जैसे नन्हे फरिश्ते हो, है आशा उनके दिल में भी इतनी प्यारी सी.
Well, thanks for showing us that video clip. Obviously, the numbers are staggering. In spite of India's economic growth and progress and its history as the land of the Vedas, there is 41% of the rural population that you said is illiterate, and 46% of the women don't have access to education. But thanks to organizations like Asha and others, there's help on the way. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. It's a 100% volunteer-based organization. 100% of the funds are going to projects in India, and such a large volunteer base and millions of dollars that you have raised. So it's commendable.
Thank you.
But obviously, there must be many challenges also on the way. We'll come to that. But tell me first, what is Asha's vision? What are your short-term and long-term goals?
So the mission for the organization is to catalyze a socioeconomic change through education of underprivileged children in India, essentially empowerment through education. Having said that, the way we operate, we're completely decentralized. We operate through our chapters. So each chapter can have its own mission. They can decide what the area they want to focus on, a particular state, a particular kind of education. So it's not a one solution fits all kind of mission that we have for our organization. And
depending on who you talk to in Asha, their version of what their vision for the organization is slightly different.
Okay.
And that we're really proud of that diversity that we have in the organization.
It's great. So each chapter has their own vision within the parameters of the organization.
So our short-term vision, I would say, is to scale up our successful projects within their focus areas. So if you have a project working in a particular segment of the society, we want them to be stabilized, handhold them until they are, comfortable enough to be operating on their own. So we're not in a hurry to disengage ourselves from project partners. The other short-term goal would be to get the RTE bill passed in the Parliament. So we have a grassroots volunteers, a right to education bill, grassroots volunteers in India who are working on that.
Okay.
We also use our conferences to network our partners, project partners together so that we can all learn. So that these are our short-term goals, so that we learn and grow from there.
Yes, great that you are participating in policy making also.
When we realized that the task is so huge that any amount of dollars we put in through the private sector is not really going to help until the government fixes the government schooling system. And the RTE bill is going to be instrumental in doing that. And we want to make sure that the bill gets passed. And we will be holding the government to task in terms of implementing the bill. And so we would be focusing on that once the bill comes into place as well.
Our long-term goal is obviously to make ourselves redundant. We should not be in existence, but it's going to take a while.
Okay.
So we aim to work with our other partners who have the similar goals and hope that we can just shut down operations one day. But meanwhile, I think one area would be to just inform and educate ourselves and the larger community about the issues at hand and how we can empower local communities through education and still remain an apolitical, secular, and completely transparent organization.
Okay. And you obviously have a great model here. What would you say is your biggest strength?
Oh, our model, absolutely. It's completely volunteer-driven. We have volunteers who come and go. So, I may not be there in the organization 3 years down the road, but there'll be a new bunch of volunteers who just carry on the work that has been done since 1991. The decentralized democracy, a zero overhead policy.
So from the point of view of organization building, Asha is a fascinating experiment in that sense. In that, irrespective of economic downturns, irrespective of volunteer flux, because of our structure and low barrier to entry in terms of what it requires to be a chapter, we keep growing and we keep getting dedicated volunteers, and our work continues to get done. So I think that vision from the beginning has been at the core of our success, that we are totally decentralized and we're a participatory democracy. And in some sense, we learn about decision making collectively in any democracy through this small experiment that we have.
And what has been the biggest challenge?
It's just the enormity of task at hand. You know,
Which is true.
we can't
Which
do
is
it
true.
alone, and we can't just say it will be done by 2010 or 2047. It's a long road ahead.
Great, and both of you seem very motivated, and you are obviously very actively involved and seem very happy about it. So tell me, what does it do for you? They say giving is better than receiving. Giving liberates the soul of the giver. Is, when you give, you also receive. What has it done for you? This social work, community service that you are engaged in.
To me, I've known of Asha since my undergraduate days, and my views then was to see this as charity work. And since then, it has changed a lot. I mean, I see this not as something that you are giving to someone, but it's a sharing experience. I've gained a lot more from Asha in terms of my worldview, in terms of my understanding of the issues, than what I've given to Asha in terms of time.
I see.
And I think one of the most satisfying things has been to see the transitions in the lives of all the people we affect. Like children who have visited at projects, donors who have come to know about issues better because of their association with us, or volunteers. We have quite a few volunteers who have gone back to India and gotten into social work full time. Because they were in Asha at some point, they learnt about the issues and they went back and joined Asha in India. So those have been some of the good things.
Okay, and Sabita?
For me, I've grown up watching my parents help people, not in an organized form. So it was very fascinating to do it here in an organized structure. But all things, the best things in life are free. And I think nothing like volunteering and giving back to the country that I love.
Great. So with these beautiful thoughts, we'll come to the end of our program. I thank you both very much for coming by and telling us about the wonderful work that Asha is doing.
We enjoyed being here. Thank you very much, Manjula.
I wish you all the best with your endeavors and continued success to Asha. That's all we have for you today, in case you joined us late. We met with two leaders of Asha. The organization is not only helping underprivileged children in India by giving them access to education, it is also cultivating social responsibility and social awareness in local groups around the world. You may look them up at ashanet.org, and you may watch this show at our website, chaivwithmanjula.org. Thank you all for joining us. I'll be back with another inspiring story about giving and people making a difference. For Chai with Manjula, I'm Manjula Gupta. See you next time.